have a special guest with me today, Edson Scheid. He is one of the busiest and most amazing Baroque violinists in New York City these days. We have done many projects together, the St. John's Passion, St. Matthew Passion. He's in fact my concertmaster for the St. Matthew Passion next year. So welcome.
Great to be here.
And we are going to talk about Bruhns. Bruhns was an organist and a violinist, and I always wondered how he could play both instruments, and I am not a violinist, so I brought one with me. So we are sitting here with Bruhns' E minor Preludium, which is his most famous piece. And I wanted to ask Edson to play this beginning and start talking about the piece. So does this strike you particularly violinistic or not?
This passage offers some possibilities. I mean, I'm looking at the shapes and I can see that. I mean, it's quite opening. Yeah.
Okay, so you think it's very dramatic. So
it's very dramatic,
okay.
Yeah, and I think it offers this possibility of bringing out certain notes more than others. Like, for example, we can explore that jumps for more edges. Yeah, absolutely. And then if we bring out those, I think the music can be very effective.
Play it as written, no.
Yes, but I'm wondering about that. Maybe it necessarily because it seems like it's almost asking for it to be a trio, right? So it could maybe start as a separate note.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be exactly as.
Yes, and then the next section. Yeah, of course, it's more voices. But could you play it for us? So this is like a violin concert piece,
yeah,
I think.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And again, what I'm saying of bringing out that. I think even if you're playing this, as one.
So some organists play this very fast. I think it's more like 1, 2, 3, because you have to use.
Yeah, I think in that way there will be enough time to also to show the difference of all the voice.
Section is not particularly violistic.
Let me see.
This is a passage which called the tirata, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we see those. Yeah, there's just a lot of repertoire. I mean, I keep thinking of French theme.
Yes. So if could we play it together? Dum bum bum. How would you play this on the violin? This is an arpeggio. It's very unlike any organ writing.
Well, I mean, what we would look for as violinists is definitely not to, again, going back to that thing of not being boring and repetitive. We don't want it to be. Make sure to give it a direction and it sounds one gesture. I think that's what
start
we would
from
go
the
for.
E.
I think that would be a way to do it. And I don't know how is it to get that effect in the organ, if it's possible
Well,
to.
it's possible.
I guess we play around with the speed and with the. And then I run out of notes to play exactly the same thing. But I think the idea is clear, right? That what I think I would do as violinist.
Because organists usually play this. So violinists wouldn't play like that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are all sorts of violinists. I mean,
Okay.
and there are many different opinions. But I think
Okay.
I mean, if you see
that's fair
an
enough.
arpeggio figure like you're describing, I think it could be very.
Okay,
Flexible.
so that's nice. And then we have again more like a chordal passage. Okay, now this fugue is very interesting. It's a double pedal fugue. So can you show this theme to us? How would you play it? In this, is it particularly violinistic, like chorale style, or still antiquity?
Yeah, I think definitely, yeah, definitely.
I think it's meant to be for the violin.
Meant to be, yeah.
Violin
I think
consort
it can
or-
definitely work as a violin.
Yeah, just really with these ornaments, you played so beautifully, these little ornaments. Okay, now we arrive to a section of the fugue ends, and then we are back to this Stilus Fantasticus craziness. Because I think that's also from a violin technique.
I see, yeah.
Yeah?
I keep thinking of what I was talking initially. See, there's so many, like the melodic line to bring that out. We wouldn't do anything to equalize it, we would make difference, to bring out the difference, I think.
So it's like kind of an ending figure.
I see.
And then the next section is really violinistic, I think. Ta-dam. Something like that. And then da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
So I have to make there's an incredible comparison. It immediately comes to my mind.
What? Ah,
Sorry to make that comparison. We are not quite that bad yet. But
Yeah.
it's a little before, but there is and
very
Bach definitely is very violinistic, and that's very similar figures.
so is it fast? Is it usually fast?
Well, I think we can make it work in anything. Wow.
So how would you play it?
I mean, I would still, I would, play around with the length of the notes a little. In order to give a sense of direction to the notes, I wouldn't, again, not. It has to do with, in order to give a direction, playing around with the length of the notes and also the speed of the bow and the amount of pressure we put.
So how do you do it on the organ?
Well, that I don't. But that's a question I would ask me: is it possible to make a similar effect
I think on a
with
mechanical
the bow
organ.
So it's different, but. So, I mean, what I'm trying to do is to play each note with a little different speed or different length, I would say, in order to give it a sense of. Even with timing a little bit,
I'm making with the body language too.
Yeah, exactly. And also with timing you're doing, right? You take a little time before that, which adds that.
Yes.
Sense
And
of
then,
direction.
what's next?
And again, this is something, we were talking about this earlier, whenever I see 32nd notes followed by 16th notes, and then 32nd notes again, I wonder if it should be that very precise. Maybe there is a way to
Even them out?
Yeah, or even them out, or not even.
How would you
so
do
that it's
it?
not
Could you show
as obvious the difference between. Maybe it's just. It's not. I'm trying to not make it. Instead of making difference so clear between the 32nd and the 16th, maybe there's a way. With playing with rubato, that the difference is not so obvious.
So let me try.
Exactly. So again, so that the gesture becomes one.
Yeah. So
I think that the
try.
music musically makes so much more
Let me
sense.
try.
I like it.
I like it too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you see 12/8, either a Sicilian or it's definitely a dance move.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, just by looking at it at first glance, and I would immediately, instinctively do.
Nice arpeggio at the very end.
Yeah, I did an arpeggio just to make it handy, but
can we try it? That's nice.
Yeah, I think it would. I mean, I'm almost wondering it could make it slower also. I mean, there's some nice harmony. What is that? There's some incredible harmony. It's almost like
so seventh chord.
Yeah, maybe if you saw it, then we can really lean in that those chords.
Try. Yeah. Both possibilities are really
Or a
beautiful.
combination of both, that you play in a faster tempo but feel those seventh chords beautifully.
And then when you're in a competition, they'll kick you out. Hang it. So let's do. This is an interesting passage because it's kind of boring on the organ. I find always when I hear this for about a minute.
I mean, the first thing I'm looking for is again what are the harmonic
changes,
moments that we should in order to give it some direction, so again that it doesn't become one huge sequence of notes that doesn't make sense. I think already in the half of the first measure, right, there is already a so again we kind of I'm thinking of emphasizing the second half of each measure. And again, I'm doing that with timing and also with adding a little pressure with the right hand.
This is definitely a passage that he could have played on the violin while accompanying himself on the pedal, because it's some double pedal notes here too. So that we have to figure out where he might have put the violin down. I think it's we'll get to that passage a little later, but I think this definitely he could have played.
That passage is definitely possible.
And you really brought out the different bowing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, varying playing around with the speed of the bow, and again in the moments that there's more harmonic tension, just broaden the bow stroke to make it more.
Because most organists, it's easier to play this like an etude, and it's tiring. And
right.
I have to practice this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's well. I mean, that's.
Okay.
I mean, as a violinist, that's exactly what I try.
Could you play just one more time?
Sure, it's exactly what I try to do. Yeah, right.
That's so great.
And so bringing out all those moments may make a lot of difference.
Okay, bravo.
Wow. Nice.
How about the next passage? Do you think it's he could have played that on the violin? Maybe because it's on the organ, it's kind of boring and it doesn't. With the pedal for.
I think it's definitely possible to play. One of the things that, I mean, obviously, the violin is not capable of sustaining the notes.
But you can
I wish we could.
Yeah.
So we have to. It's possible to play, but we would have to find a way to, arpeggiate the chord or to break the chord in a way that.
But I think this passage is definitely more interesting on the violin. It's kind of struggling to get those notes.
Exactly.
That energy is lacking when you play. Maybe I should play more like you.
What I love about it is that you can break the chords, but you can also keep sustaining the lower notes. But
Yes.
we have to abandon those notes. But
Oh.
so a combination of those.
And then this is. I would think that there's a trill there.
I'm looking at it, I would think about the trill on that third measure. Would that make sense?
Yeah. So.
Maybe you're right. Maybe if you just do the trill on this note, on the second measure, because that's harmonically, isn't it weaker, right? So that would make sense to add the trill only on the stronger.
Speaking of trills, like we are at the end of 17th century, almost 18th century, and by this time, probably the trills were from the upper notes.
I would think so. I mean, I'm thinking of I think when we think that Corelli is already writing music in those.
And then there's an adagio. It's unlike any organ writing. So how, when you see this kind of, like, it's adagio.
I see. Oh, I see. Right.
But because it's crazy looking on the score, but.
Well, I mean, if I'm looking at this, and if I'm going to play, I mean, I don't think the violin here should play everything, right? It should play.
Yeah, some notes.
If I'm going to play the offbeats, then obviously I'm trying to avoid any accents that would make them sound equal to the stronger, more important beats. So I'll probably do something that keep them very light.
So, yeah, this is again a passage he could have played it with the violin.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then the violin would play just the offbeats, right?
Yes. Do you think between this passage, the arpeggio passage, and this, you would have played it on the violin? Or the presto? Is it how?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at this specific. Oh, I see.
Because that's also.
Well, I mean, violinistically speaking, the chords, the chord progression I played before, this sequence, it's a very. It's but at the same time, I mean, there are a lot of notes I have to leave out, I think, and they're not the chords. The breaking of the chords are not very idiomatic, I would say. But the presto section, because you see, I'm holding the B all the time, and that's easy to play on the violin. That I would then have to think so much before you see. There's too much work to do.
Okay, so do you think he would have had time to put up the violin for these two sections and then pick up here?
Oh, I see. Well, I think you could create time, or make a big rallentando before, take a long time in the rest to pick it up.
Yeah, so put a music stand next to him, or whatever he had.
Well, you are right, it's not a lot of time, so. Well, maybe before the presto he could do it, because.
Mm-hmm. I guess we'll never know.
We'll never. Well, now I have to say something. This, both playing all these chords, the offbeat, that would be tricky to get it. So I have to arpeggiate them, and there's not a lot of time.
I like it.
Would have to be something like. Can you try one more time?
Yeah, 3.
So in that case, yeah.
Cadence.
With the chords, I guess it would be too what should I say? Too much movement, too much motion. I mean, unless
So this is you think it will be just like so much more boring.
But maybe there's a way to make it sound as
Yeah, that's the
I don't know if
purpose
yeah, exactly.
of this video, to make it more interesting.
I mean, if I would get, I don't know, maybe I'll go for a more airy sound. Is that the way of saying it?
And how about a little bit more accented?
Yeah.
Could you?
Yeah, in another version. Yeah, sure.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely. If I were to try to imitate the organ, then. But again, that seems to be a non-Baroque kind of sound with the Baroque bow. The bow doesn't encourage that.
so on the organ, I would imitate that. Close enough?
I think so. That's not very
Great.
That's what
Thank you. We'll play it like that. Okay, then there's this last fugue. Again, 12/8. So how would you play this fugue if you first time you see it?
without looking too much down the road here,
Yeah.
get in trouble for doing it.
Yeah. Of these repeated sections, we have the same exact music. On the organ, when you have multiple keyboards, you can use, and that's what most organs use. You go from one keyboard
I
to
see.
the other, kind of an echo
Right.
effect. So what would you do?
So in the repeated sections, I mean, again, I think a choice would have to be made. Do I want to play the first one less and the second one more, and the third one the most, or do I want to play the first one kind of more and then the second one least, and then the third one the most?
So coming from the end, like this is the big
right. It
TV
seems like I mean, it seems that the last one of this sequence should lead into the big ending. I would think, right?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Or I mean, it's one way.
It's one way.
Could be
Yeah.
out of many ways.
So pum pum ba-da-da-da.
Maybe a little
Except
more
there's
the
no
second time.
cadence.
Oh yeah, right.
So
Yeah,
it's
but
like
I,
it
oh
cuts
yeah.
the
Well, I mean,
cadence.
yeah, bringing the tension to the rest.
Yeah, so how would you play these figures differently from it's the same figure, but
I think this is more dramatic too, right, than before. So maybe, I don't know, what am I doing? Maybe I'm just adding pressure, I think, to the bow. But the other one, maybe this could be. Then there's also the question that the last note is slurred into the different chords, right? So if I...
How would you play the ending? And from the upper note, the trios, or the...
Oh, I see. I mean, obviously, yeah, we don't wanna lean on the octave, right? Because the E is on the pedal. We were talking before about trios from the upper note. I mean, in some cases, like in this case, if the bass is the, like how should I say? If it forms. If the top note forms an octave with the bass, then it doesn't make sense because, of course, we want to go for the distance. So, in that case, so it's not, I guess, not always from the upper note.
Yeah, it was very helpful to me to learn about this piece from a violinistic perspective. So thank you, Edson.
Sure,
It was
I hope
very
this is
useful
helpful
for me.